Welcome to News in Nigeria once again, and I bring to you a very interesting news. Yeah, I've always said it that the North will not give you anything without asking something even times five in return. Now, it is clear that the North have demanded one thing from Epitobi if he really needs and if he's serious about his ambition to becoming the president. That demand is simple. Obi must vow to drop the ambition of an average Igbo man as far as Nigeria is concerned, and he has to put it in writing or in a vocal documentation. And when that is done, while that will be broadcasted for evidence, then of course they will give him their vote. What is that thing? That thing is clear. And that is the struggle the Igbo man has been making since the late 60s. Which is simple, which is clear, to have that emancipation of the Igbo country. To have that emancipation whereby the Igbo man can have his own region fully controlled by his own people, in his own terms, at his own pace, in line with his own culture and tradition. I saw a video and I'm going to show you the full video, but watch a short clip.
So the hardest thing I've had to accept since I've been here is that Hausas, my tribe, my people, unfortunately are not going to allow Nigeria to become what it's meant to be.
Welcome back. Well, you can see this video. That guy over there is a northerner. However, this is a northerner who has traveled. So he decided to return home to take away some children from the crude almajiri system that he had in the north. And while he was in that process, he faced the greatest tension, hesitation, reluctance, kickbacks that he has ever seen in his life. The guy said that he was never rejected like that when he was even seeking for visa from America. In that longer version, which I will play at the end. Why am I connecting Epito Obi with this video? Epito Obi is a man who is presenting himself as a messiah, right? Epito Obi wants to make it look as if a one Nigeria is viable. He wants us to believe that a one Nigeria can actually work. When the likes of Professor Moalu in the past have released several tweets that the reason why Nigeria will never work is because our tribes speak louder than the Nigerian identity. That Rwanda, that he is currently domiciled or residing, I'm talking about King Simlogalu here, that the Rwandans at a time were at this stage Nigeria was, and then they descended into what we call a civil war that led to genocide. This was between the Hutsis and the Tutsis. Within a space of 30 days, over almost 1 million people were annihilated. Now, he said when that issue was resolved through the intervention of the United Nations, Paul Kagame, who is still the president of that country since 1998, that war was fought just about 26 years ago, right? That what they are practicing in Rwanda is not democracy. That if it was a democracy, that he is damn sure that Rwanda will have returned back to that genocidal experience again. Secondly, he said that Paul Kagame has made it an offense for you to talk about tribe and religion. In that same Rwanda, some churches were told that they have to close down. That there are too many churches around. They are closing churches, asking churches to pay tax, giving them targets of tax to pay. If you cannot pay it, shut down. But you see, we are seeing a Peter Obi who thinks he can perform magic. Peter Obi so many times in his speeches, he likes to reference Indonesia. I am telling you, in Indonesia, there is what we call suppressions of minority groups. Yes. So my question is, the North are telling Epitobi that you cannot come in and say that you want to do any of this agenda. You cannot come in and say that you want to suppress the Fulani's hegemony. You cannot come in and say that you want to split the country into fragments, into regions. You have to come in and, you know, carry on with this fast one Nigerian that we have. There we saw an elite, someone who is supposedly educated, who is, by whatever opportunity he had in the past, has gone out of the country, returned back home, trying to say that let me reform these children, let me take them away. And the resistance he got where he's from his own local community people. My question is, what exactly is the agenda of Epitobi? What is that agenda that he is willingly and readily ready to sacrifice the ambition of an average Igbo man simply because he wants to become the president? I am not blackmailing Epitobi. Yeah, I'm not. The demand from the North is clear. You want our support. Our terms are clear. You cannot break the country. Since 1969, 70, why we've never had an Igbo man ascend that throne is because the North feel the Igbos will come in and split the country. So would you go into an agreement? And that is a betrayal of the Igbo average man's dream. Are you ready to do that? Is Obi ready to do that? Obviously, Obi seems to be ready to do that. We see Obi telling us that that North has the key to actually bring Nigeria out of impoverishment. We see Obi telling us that North has the very vast land that is, uncultivated, arable farmlands that can actually take Nigeria to prosperity. Sometimes when you look at people, I think it is right for you to allow them make that mistake, and when they do, when they miss that heartbreak, perhaps they will be knocked back into their right senses. Epito Obi has not done 1% of what MKO Abiola did for the North. Let me take you back to history. Moshood Kashimawo Abiola did everything to soothe, to pacify, to assuage the North. He did things like burning, throwing Bibles into the sea. He did everything like the North have the say, and I'm queuing behind them. In fact, Anabiala used his money to become the second in command of I think the Sharia Council or thereabouts, Islamic Sharia panel, where we have the Sultan as the infinite, the indefinite, the forever president. Or should Abiola did all these things, it was still a common Fulani man, a Sonny a Babangida, that said you will not be the president. And Abiola, who became very infamous in the early 90s, the man who was reported to have won the election and confirmed to have won the election by even the man that perpetrated that evil. So the expectations that it feels that when I dance to the tunes of the North, I will not get betrayed at the end of the day is what I cannot just phantom, sincerely. Because these people, they would want to clamp and, clip your wings. The very same thing they did with Jonathan. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we all know the story of Jonathan. We all know how Jonathan did everything to appease the North. In fact, Jonathan turned the North to the gods. Every morning he was pouring kai and red oil, just to make sure that they are not hungry, by giving them all manner of palliatives, There were conditional cash transfers. He was sending the Schwapping money. He was sending some of them to for all manner of vocational training schools. Name it. What is it that Jonathan did not do? And yet, Anobi wants to go into this unholy agreement because he feels that without the North, he can't become a president. He is pushing aside the interests of his people. Obi will get in there and he won't be able to build a seaport for the southeast. He will get there, he won't be able to do some major federal infrastructures for the southeast because he has already dipped his hands in some unholy agreements. Because one of the few things is the southeast must not be open to the global world. Because they feel that when they have access to the sea, the southeast can easily and readily begin to import, weapons of warfare. That was when the seaport was locked. The seaport was locked during the Biafran War. Immediately after the Biafran War, where they promised that there will be a three R's: reintegration, reconciliation, and reconstruction. They said they were going to reopen the seaports that connected the old eastern region to the global south, that they were going to reconcile, do all this reintegration of the southeasterners and so many of those that were affected during the Biafra War. The same Norths were the ones that have reneged in those promises. But how an Obi feels comfortable in this deal is what I do not know. I know that when a man is desperate, when a man cannot, you know, see more than what he is obsessed about, yes, he becomes vulnerable. May God please open the eyes of a Peter Obi. I am never telling him not to run for presidency. In fact, I wish to see him become a president, but I do not wish him to be a president where his hands, his wings, his mouth, everything has been clamped down by the northern oligarchs. It would be worse than Jonathan if that is the situation. Because if he goes into this kind of a deal, not see they don't joke. When you go into an agreement with them, they don't joke. They know they joke. These are people who are ready to die for a cause. They don't mind if the country burns to ashes. And for your information, they have the largest share of population in the army, in the police. So there's yes, you might be the president at that time, but you will start seeing all manner of factions of people that you wouldn't believe that they will begin to question your authority as a president. And that's the known fact. That's a known fact. We know when Jonathan was there were little he could do. When he would send army, they will not listen. Jonathan declared a state of emergency in 3 states in the north because of banditry. They went out, they were just, confronting all the curfews. They were going against, everything was not obeyed. Eventually, they frustrated Jonathan. How many people he won't kill now? Because they will start calling him a genocidal president. These are people who are suicidal in nature. So at the end of the day, Jonathan had to what? Lift this state emergency. I don't think it even lasted up to 1 month. And then we saw that the security didn't still go. But what message they wanted to pass, they passed it successfully. That Oga, don't think that because you are the president, you can control us in the north. So the issue, the idea that I will agree to the terms of the northern leagues of politicians. Yes, I'm not going to break the country. There's little I will even talk about constitutional reform. What I'm only about is ensuring I educate your people, ensuring that I send more people to farms, ensuring that I restore security, ensuring that my people in the southeast will continue with their importation business and they will enjoy more like this thing. Then it will suddenly get to that point that where it will begin to see that my people need to have seaport, they need to have some kind of thing, and it will now, just down on him that damn, I've found myself in a corner. And at this stage, I cannot go back. Let's watch the full video of that guy who tried to emancipate the almajiris and who faced the serious resistance of his life. Let's watch the video together.
So the hardest thing I've had to accept since I've been here is that Hausas, my tribe, my people, unfortunately are not going to allow Nigeria to become what it's meant to be. The mindset of the northern Nigerians are going to destroy this country. I'm sorry to say it. So this is an idea I had, right? It was very simple. Raise money, build orphanages, massive orphanages, and pick up the almajiris off the street. Take the almajiris off the street. Teach them engineering. Teach them tech. Teach them coding. Take them off the streets and teach them, try to get them up to par so they can compete. And I brought up how every time I had this conversation, I would bring up the 4 Indian kids, the 4 Indian boys, like 10-year-old boys that were online, they were doing the live chat and building an app. Every time I bring up this idea to a northerner, the first thing they ask is, well, what about Islam? What about Qur'ani? What about Islamic school? When I say I have met incredible resistance to the idea of taking these boys off the streets and getting them to join the global age. Like, my mindset is this. Every corner you go in northern Nigeria, there are 5 people willing to teach these boys Islamic school, Quran. There are 10 people willing to teach them everything they need to learn about Islam. Why isn't there anyone willing to teach them anything else? So when I brought that up, some people were like, I had people going, it will never happen unless I have to teach them Islamic curriculum in the schools. I said, you don't understand. Northern Nigerians are against the idea of changing the trajectory and the outcomes of almajiris. They say almajiranchi, which is what it is embedded in our culture. And here's the thing, no, it's not. And as a Muslim, it's haram. I fucking said it. Any northern Nigerian that wants to step the fuck up, do it. It is haram. Because you are not allowed to bring a child into this world that you cannot raise. And there are northern fuck ton of Hausa men and women who have babies with no intention of, they know they will only take care of that child for to a certain age, then they'll pawn that child off. There are a fuck ton of imams, men in the north, who rely on these kids for a living. They send these boys out every day to go earn a living and come back and give them. I thought of an idea that, look, we need to find a way to raise money, build orphanages, teach these boys tech, teach them engineering, teach them robotics, let them compete with the global populace. And every time I bring this up, every fucking Hausa person I tell this shit to wants to argue with me. They say it's not going to. They are vehemently against this. So I need you to understand, I need to ask you, how will Nigeria as a fucking country compete with the likes of Ghana, South Africa, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, when the northern Nigeria is part of Nigeria? The most fucked up thing I'm going to have to say as a Hausa man is, for Nigeria to advance, they have to get rid of Hausa. They have to get the north Nigeria, it can never work. This is a sad realization that it can never work. Like, this is insane. And I am Hausa. This is fucking crazy. Wait, let me show you something. Right here, this is attestation of citizenship from New York. As you can see, I am from Shanono local Gwamang in Kano State. I am as fucking northern Hausa as it fucking gets. I am as Aboki as it could possibly fucking get. And I am saying, Nigeria, to win, to compete on the global stage, Nigeria will have to get rid of the north. It will not happen with my people are actively holding this country back. It is so fucking insane.